The easiest way to start Necromunda is to have a friend who already plays Necromunda. Hey Mitchell, I took our advice from last episode and I'm getting into Necromunda, so I bought all of this.
Well, you did it wrong.
Oh. But you said I should start with Goliath. So I bought Goliath.
So you bought Goliath.
And you said you said in the Van Sar part that I needed lots of terrain. Mm-hmm. So I got this huge box of terrain and some other models. Uh-huh. And I need the rule book, and that's in here too. And I need my house book, and that's here somewhere. Mm-hmm. So clearly I need all of this to start Necromunda, right?
No.
Oh, okay, then thank God. So getting started with Necromunda can be a challenge?
Yeah, just like setting all this stuff up.
Yeah, so we're going to magically snap and make this all go away. So, what do you actually need to start playing Necromunda?
So, you need dice.
You need the dice, and you do need Necromunda dice. Why do you need Necromunda dice?
They are proprietary dice that have symbols on every side.
Some of them do.
Some of them do.
Because there's the normal D6s.
That's true.
There pictures of all these on the screen, please. Yeah. Well, I'll provide pictures. There's the injury dice, mm-hmm. and there's the firepower dice.
Yeah.
And there's the scatter dice.
Oh, I for some reason forgot about that.
So, Games Workshop sells these nifty little containers mm-hmm. that are overpriced because it's Games Workshop of 2 normal dice and the proprietary dice. Mm-hmm. They also come in the starter boxes.
Yeah.
So you do need the dice. You can, if you want to, like figure out the math on the dice and then assign values. That's pretty complicated.
Yeah,
it's a lot more fun and easy to play with the actual dice.
Yeah, rather than having to like roll it and then look up what that means, and
yeah,
then you can't like roll 2 dice at the same time.
Right.
2 different things.
You also need templates.
Yeah.
That's right. Necromunda is a game that uses templates mm-hmm. Because we have things that represent grenade blasts, mm-hmm. bigger grenade blasts, and flamethrowers. Mm-hmm. When you hit somebody with a flamethrower, you don't roll to hit. You just put this on them.
Just hit.
And if it's on them, they're burning. Well, maybe you have to roll. You hit them.
You hit them.
Now, these templates, you can get paper cutouts online.
Mm-hmm. They're available on the Warhammer community for free.
Yes.
You can cut them out.
So we're not advocating piracy there. They realize that.
They give it to you.
Yes. They're not clear and nice and plastic like these,
right.
but you can use that.
Mm-hmm.
If you happen to be a Horse Heresy player, you probably have dice.
Mm-hmm. Old Warhammer players would have these.
Yeah.
And they're also in the starter sets if you wanted to get one of the starter sets. One of the things I do want to bring back to the dice, there are, unlike all of the other Warhammer games that use proprietary dice, mm-hmm. there are no non-faction generic dice.
Except in the starter kits.
But again, if you're buying the starter kit separate, which is what we recommend.
Right.
Or if you're buying your faction separate, rather.
So you will also need a box of your models. Mm-hmm. To start with, you probably just want the gang box for your models.
Right.
This is one of the other reasons in our last episode we talked about starting with one of the house gangs, because they just have easy to get gangs. Mm-hmm. You have it's Goliath gang, Orlok gang, Escher gang, Van Sar gang, Cawdor gang, Galot gang. Mm-hmm. And again, some of them do too. The Nomads, the Squats, even Enforcers, mm-hmm. and Corpse Grinders now. But their rules are a little harder. Yeah. So you definitely need a box. To play the game, you really only need one box.
Yeah.
You want to play the game better or in a long-standing campaign, mm-hmm. yes, does it help to pick up the secondary box, which has the prospects and champions in it?
Alternate champion.
Sure, it does. But that's a luxury. You don't need it to start. You will not be terribly unfun. Mm-hmm. This is not required to play Goliath and have fun.
Right.
It's nice, but not required.
Especially with some of the more elite factions.
Yes.
Which is, again, one of the reasons that we put Cawdor lower on our list, is that this box will get you, like, the beginning of your campaign plus.
Yeah, with Goliath, you probably will not be able to put all 10 guys on that field.
Probably not. Not at the beginning of your campaign. I ran a Van Sar campaign, and I had 7 guys in my starting list.
And that's not unusual.
No.
Same thing with Goliath. 7 or 8 guys in your starting list is not at all unusual.
Right. So you just have other guys that you can buy later and add to your crew, and it's great.
Yep.
So you don't even need, like, it's not like this is your starting list and you can't do anything past that. This is starting list plus, which is great.
Yeah. You will also need the rule book and your house book, because your house book is going to have the rules for your faction. And yes, this is very Warhammer. Like a lot of other things, Games Workshop likes to sell its books.
Turns out books are profitable.
So that means that they sell every gang has its own House of book. So House of Chains for Goliath, House of Blades for Escher, House of Iron for Orlok, House of Shadow for Delok, House of Artifice for Bansar, and House of Faith. There are other books too. Some of the secondary gangs come in other books that might have other rules for other factions, sometimes more than one.
This one, for example, has squats and outcasts.
Yes, so 2 for 1.
Yeah. Or nomads, not outcasts.
Nomads. Sorry, squats and nomads. There are also Orlok vehicle rules in here. That doesn't matter as much.
We do not recommend you getting into vehicles to start with.
Which I think we'll get to in just a few seconds, right? Because so you will need your House of book, because this contains all the lore and also all of the...
How to build your gang.
Yes, that's all going to be in here.
Yep.
What it's not going to be in the actual rulebook. Now, that's the rulebook for Ash Wastes, which is the most recently updated rulebook. Hey, Mitchell, can I buy that online for just the book?
No.
Oh.
Hey, Josh, can I buy just the rulebook in just any store that sells GW stuff?
No.
Yeah.
It's on the website, but it's out of stock right now.
No, it's online only.
It's online only. Okay, so you have to.
And it's not out of stock right now. I checked earlier today.
Oh, okay.
But anyway,
good.
So
at time of recording,
you will need that because that's going to have the rules of literally playing.
Yes.
What rolling dice does, how to move, how to shoot stuff and duck behind cover and all that. But it's also going to have your first campaign.
Yes, and that is one problem, is because that has the default rulebook has the rules for the Dominion campaign.
Right.
Which we will do another episode on campaigns. But the Dominion campaign is the default campaign and the one we recommend starting with.
Yeah, it is the one with the least frills, and because of that, way easier to understand.
So let's transition from that into why we don't recommend starting with Ash Wastes, either the box or the campaign.
Fair.
Because we talked about the starter boxes. And the current starter box is the Ash Waste box. This comes with templates, dice, that full rulebook, cards for your tactics, cards for your gang. It comes with terrain. It comes with an Orlok gang, Orlok vehicles, Nomads gang, and the Nomad Prospect. Sorry, Bug Riders. It's also $300. Now, if you and a friend see this box and you want everything in here, one of you goes, "Oh, I want to play those guys and I want to drive those little Orlok buggies." And the other one goes, "Oh, I want to play those guys and I want to ride the little Nomad buggies." Then by all means, this is not a bad buy.
Right. It's a good deal.
Yes.
It's just expensive.
It's a good deal in the realm of Games Workshop's idea of what a deal is, which means it is incredibly overpriced plastic because it's Games Workshop and we're all suckers. But the Ash Waste campaign is what comes in this box, is in this book. And that campaign hates you and wants you to die.
Yes. The Games Workshop put out an FAQ before this book was even released, and one of the questions was, "Wow, the environment seemed really harsh. Is that on purpose?" And they went, "Yes." And that was their answer.
Yeah. Necromunda is about the Underhive, which is the undercity of a giant, huge, multi-tens of billion-dollar or billion-person city.
Yeah.
Ash Waste is about the irradiated, blasted landscape between those cities.
The desolate wasteland that's in between.
And this ain't Fallout 4 where you can take a little stroll outside. No, there's a rad storm. No, this just wants to kill you.
Yeah.
We finished up an Ash Waste campaign about a month ago. And I think collectively we all lost more people to Necromunda than we did to each other's guns.
Yeah, I believe that.
So if you play that as a first campaign, it's going to be really brutal. Money is also really tight. It's also very punishing for new players because it's about trying to grab road sections and build trade routes, whereas Dominion is just about collecting little territories, and they give you money. And that's it. Much simpler. But if you do want both gangs in here, this is still not a bad place.
Correct.
Because
I would still recommend not playing Ash Wastes first.
That's what I was going to say.
Yep.
Get the Dominion campaign elsewhere. And there are lots of other campaigns. There's a campaign in the Book of Ruin. There's a campaign in the Book of Judgment called Law and Misrule. There's a campaign in the newest book, which is Cinderak Burning, which is a mix between Dominion and Ash Waste. That might not be the worst place to start.
That's true.
In fact, we recommend not starting with vehicles.
Yeah.
Because vehicles are a whole new layer of rules. They're very complicated. They're expensive.
Yeah.
Both in credits and in money. You know, you have to buy the vehicles. And vehicles are only available in Ash Waste's campaign, and Ash Waste hates you and wants you to die.
Correct.
Cinderac Burning is a campaign set in the Underhive. And some of the missions can use vehicles. It also lets you... the only downside to Cinderac Burning is that it lets you start with more credits, which if you're trying to be
a lot more credits
on a budget means you're going to have a hard time starting with one box.
Yeah.
But you could modify that.
It's possible.
Yeah. So if you are insistent on buying the Ash Wastes box, I would also pick up Cinderac Burning.
That's true.
Because then you could still use those vehicles, but in a campaign that's a little more sane and doesn't quite hit you and want you to die.
Right.
But even then, that campaign still has lots of hang-ups that we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
So with all that in mind, I need a rule book. I need my gang. I need this stuff. What's the cheapest way to actually get into Necromunda?
So the rule book that's not this one is 60.
All right. Is there a PDF-only version?
No.
Bummer.
Well, maybe?
Is there a PDF version from Games Workshop is what I mean.
I think there is, but I actually don't know the price on that.
I believe it's not any cheaper.
Yeah, I figured it was the same price.
Because they never do it any cheaper, because Games Workshop has not learned anything.
So the rule book is 60. The house book is 50.
Yes.
The gang, all of them are 47. Doesn't matter which gang you pick,
Yep.
they're all 47. And the dice are 18. So templates being free with the thing online. The trading post is free online.
Is a free PDF from Games Workshop.
Yep. And other than that, you do need all of these things.
Now, yeah, like we joked at the beginning, the cheapest way is to find somebody else who already has all these things.
Yes.
Who already has the books they can loan you, and you just buy the models
The
and have
books,
fun.
the dice, the terrain, like the templates, all of it. It's just way easier if you do that.
Because that is also the other elephant in the room, terrain.
Oh yeah.
We've talked a couple times now in passing that Necromunda without terrain is one of the fastest and easiest complaints to find about Necromunda. Necromunda's unbalanced. Shooting is so good. It's like you're not using enough terrain. You need more terrain than you probably think you do.
Yeah.
For that one, Garbage Hammer is an option.
Oh yeah.
Or Trash Hammer, as it's often called.
Poor hammer.
Poor Hammer. That's where you take things that aren't plastic terrain kits, water bottles, apples, styrofoam cups, index cards, Legos,
Cereal boxes,
anything, and you just make line of sight blocking terrain.
Yep.
And you know what? That is still a fun way to play.
Yeah. I've done it before.
Yeah, there's actually nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Terrain buying plastic terrain from Games Workshop should be your last priority.
It should be a luxury that like, oh, this piece looks really cool and it would look great, blah blah blah.
And there are also a lot of companies that sell alternate terrain.
It's true.
We have our friends here at Lasercraft Workshop who we make MDF stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is themed for around Necromunda. What's the stuff that you were putting together that I know you didn't particularly like, but it was the MDF?
Oh, tabletop combat?
Yeah.
TT combat?
Maybe other people will like it more.
Yeah, so it's just the instructions.
Okay.
Like putting it together is fine, but
The terrain itself is fine. It's just the instructions you don't like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's and of course 3D printing is always a possibility. So terrain, file that under not a priority.
Right. Priority is get your models, get your rules, figure out how to play. Terrain can come later.
So if you're just buying all of those things, $60 for the rulebook, $50 for the House of Book,
110,
$47 for a gang. Let's round that up to 50 because tax is a thing.
Tax is a thing. That's true.
So now you're at 160.
Yeah.
$20 for the dice.
Yeah.
Now you're at 180.
Yeah. That is the main problem with Necromunda. Even starting the basics is still pretty expensive.
And now there's always
it's not as bad as 40K.
It's not as bad as 40K, but it is worse than something like a lot of other skirmish games.
Yeah.
And especially like then we're not even talking about buying campaign books like if you're the arbitrator.
Right.
Getting into Necromunda is, I would actually compare it more to getting into Dungeons and Dragons.
That's a good
or
comparison.
another role-playing game like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where, you can get by with a book, but it ends up being a thing where, especially if you're running it, you end up spending a lot of money on books.
Yeah.
Or getting them free somewhere online.
How many books did you have on the table at the beginning of this one?
I don't want to talk about it. I said last episode I have an abusive relationship with Necromunda, and this is me blinking for help. help affording more models.
Oh my god, he dabbed.
I'm sorry. No.
Okay.
But anyway, so this is the part where we say in hushed tones about how difficult it is to get into Necromunda. But don't worry, it's totes worth it.
It is. It's my favorite GW game, and I've been looking for a favorite GW game for a while because I like 40K.
Yeah,
and I like Age of Sigmar, and I'm learning that Kill Team is really cool. But Necromunda is like everything that I've wanted in the game.
Nothing scratches that narrative plus crunch plus making your dudes itch like Necromunda for me.
Yep.
But boy howdy, do they put a flippin' price tag on it.
Yep.
One other thing we forgot to mention. There is another starter box.
Yes. That is Hivor.
Hivor.
It is Dalak, who, if you will recall, is number 6 out of 7 on our list. And then Escher.
Yes.
Who is significantly higher.
3.
Yeah, number 3.
Spoilers. It also comes with dice.
It also comes with dice.
These things.
Templates. Your tactics. How to play. And the rules for the models that are in there.
Now, the problem with that, and one of the reasons we don't necessarily recommend buying that, is because it only comes with a partial rulebook.
Yeah.
That partial rulebook will not carry you any farther than the models that are in the box. It doesn't have any additional war gear options. It doesn't have any of the additional campaign stuff. It's only a getting started. If you just want to dip your toes into Necromunda and don't mind spending the... How much is that box? $150?
Yeah, I think it's 150.
On that, then that's an okay place to start.
Yeah.
Definitely, especially if you have a friend who wants to lock or Escher and you want the other one too. It also comes with terrain. It comes with basically this set right here, which is the columns and walls terrain set, although it doesn't come with any doors. Yeah, it's kind of dumb. And it comes with a mat to play on.
Sure.
But it's not nearly enough terrain for what it is.
No.
And it's very small scale. And it won't carry you very far if you're looking to actually dive into Necromunda in full.
And in order to continue into Necromunda, you will still need the campaign book, your house rules, more models. Like it is good, but it's still not the way that we recommend starting unless you can split it with something.
Yeah.
And then it's significantly better.
Yeah. And that's kind of our final verdict on that, is that getting into Necromunda is hard. And I wish it wasn't so.
Yeah, I agree.
Necromunda probably exemplifies all of Games Workshop's problems with getting people into their game, because it has all the problems of old GW with none of that pretending to care that they've started doing with things like Kill Team and Warcry and their other games, where they've done things like Combat Patrol and, bundle boxes. There are no bundle boxes for Necromunda.
No. It's the 2-player sets, and that's it.
Yeah, and even then, it's not actually a great deal. It's only a good deal because they massively overvalue the plastic terrain.
Yeah, they do.
So it's hard not to end this on a low note.
Yeah. Because
we love this game, and it's flipping impossible to get into.
There's a reason that, when did the rulebook for Necromunda come out? 2017?
15, I think. I might be wrong on that.
2017 was Kill Team.
Yes.
And I only just started playing it like 3 years ago, is because it's really difficult to get into.
Yeah, especially if it's like your first Games Workshop game.
Yeah, oh yeah.
When you've already been drinking the Games Workshop Kool-Aid for a few years, all of this starts to sound much less insane.
Yeah.
It starts to sound much more palatable.
Yeah.
Oh, it's only $200. I can do that.
Yeah.
That's just a couple tanks,
One start collecting.
Yeah. But if you're just getting into wargaming, it's really hard to sell this to people.
It is. But again, it's worth it.
But if you're with us, I'm sorry, that is the most Shelley Duvall from The Shining face about abuse that I've ever seen.
It's worth it. I'm sorry, I look at my camera.
So, just GW just charges these things, and sometimes you charge too much. It just happens, yeah. So
GW James Workshop puts the axe through the door.
Here's Jamie. Here's Necky. Necro.
No, I like Jamie better.
Yeah. There's no good portmanteau here. So what are we talking about next time, Mitchell?
We're going to talk about the different Necromunda campaigns and why you should start with Dominion.
And not Ashways. Join us next time when we start talking about those campaigns, the real heart and soul of Necromunda.
Yeah.
This does work as a skirmish game, but the campaign is where is
it's the meat.
Yes.
It just makes everything so much better.
The juicy steak on the Necromunda burger.
Yeah. Whatever.
We'll see you next time. I've been Josh.
I've been Mitchell. Bye.